Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. This is going to be a bit of a short video this week because I've had a Murphy week. As you can tell, I'm starting this video off by fixing a pump here. These pumps I use in my shop and also in a lot of clients, but they tend to break right there, which is really annoying because they won't run after that. But fortunately, I had one that had burnt out. Lots of issues with these things. I may have to switch to another brand. Anyway, I swapped it out. It was about a 10-minute thing, and then put it back into the sump and refilled the sump because it drains down when the pump's not running. And then got it all working. This is the tank I was running on. Those are the Fishmans Fry from last spring. They're obviously not fry anymore. They're growing out quite well, and we'll definitely go out to clients soon. So I figured what I'd do for this video, instead of doing the usual, I'm going to do a Fry Friday, the first one. Because one of my clients had this happen in one of their tanks. There's a bunch of paradise fish in here, and they decided to spawn, which is really kind of neat. I've actually never bred paradise fish before, so I figured I'd save these babies. And so I took a plastic container and just dipped it into the tank, and it overflowed. And all the fry went into this. But all my tanks are really quite large. For these things anyway, so I figured what I would do is build a small little breeder box. So using the same techniques as you've seen many times, I'm going to skip over that part. I put this together, and what I'm going to do is hang in one of the 20-gallon tanks in the middle row, and then I'm going to use a piece of rigid airline tubing and just bend it and use the valve I made a few videos ago and just run a constant drip into this. So here's the U-shape. I put a sponge on the end just to keep any of the many critters that I have floating in a lot of these tanks from going down into here and eating these tiny little things. So here it is. It's hooked up here. It's on the top row, and there's an airline tubing going through to the valve. I don't have it running yet, and then this is going to sit in the tank. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some plants in there, and then add in the babies. Unfortunately, I overestimated their size, and they pretty much just got out of there and were all in the tank. And I didn't want this to go to waste, so what I did is I took a really pregnant female platy I had, and I put her in here, confined, because I've been finding the platy's been eating a lot of their babies, so I wasn't getting very much in the way of production out of them. So I confined her to a very tiny part of it so that she couldn't get in there and eat them. And then when she had her babies, I fished her out. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a lot of the plants out, just leave a little bit in there to keep the baby platies feeling a little secure. And I'm going to use a higher rate of flow because these guys are bigger, obviously. And then I'm going to raise them here, and hopefully I'll get a better yield out of it. As like I said, at least I don't need a lot of platies, but I was only getting like each spawn I was only getting like 1 or 2 or 3, and that's not enough. Apparently platy parents really like eating their babies, and I don't think I'm going to be able to put any extra plants in these tanks, especially this one right here. So anyway, here are the babies. They're a little over a day old at this point. If you're wondering what's going on the mulm on the bottom here, like I said, I keep a lot of small organisms to feed the fish as they, well, not at this size, but when they get older, they have to munch on them. And there's a bunch of baby cherry shrimp in there, some juveniles, and a bunch of scuds, or chimeras if you like. I'm going to do a couple shots here of these guys over the next week and a bit, and you'll notice something that happens as as the shots progress. If you look at them now, you'll see there's a bit of a curve to them. I find live bears when they're first born kind of have almost like a hunchback to them, and over the next little while you'll see that'll straighten out. And here's a shot of them having lunch or breakfast. Well, I feed them about 3 times a day when I can, and as you can see, these are microworms. I also feed them finely ground flake food, but as you can tell, they much prefer the live foods. Actually, I feed mostly microworms. I used to raise lots of other things like brine shrimp and that sort of stuff, but I find microworms are the least labor intensive. And for this size of fry, you don't need to go to anything smaller like paramecia or cyclops or anything like that, which are some things they also grow for other fish. If the paradise fish hadn't escaped through those holes, that's what they would have been eating. So here they're fry. They're almost a week and a half old now. They're fattening up quite a bit. They're going to stay in this breeder box for another probably a couple weeks, and then I'm going to have to clean out a tank and put them in that. But the nice thing about this size, with the constant flow of water through it, I can really concentrate their feeding, and they have no trouble finding the foods, and they grow quite well. So here are the multis. I apologize for the bad filming here, but these things are so small. I'm trying to focus on them that it keeps going in and out of focus. Also, in the front of this tank, I left in a bunch of the Java moss to give them a bit more security. And it's very difficult to get them to hold still and actually to focus on it. I mean, mom and dad at full grown. This is dad here. He's only just a little over an inch, so you can imagine how small those little babies are, an eighth of an inch at most. But what I did is a few days later I got tired of trying to film them that way, so what I did is cleared out the Java moss at the front so I can actually see the shell quite well. But mom and dad decided, well, hey, if you're going to do that, we're going to move the fry back to this other shell. So again, they're way in the back now, and I still can't focus on them. You can see one right there. They are growing quite well, which is kind of nice. And I think they've actually spawned again, so because I noticed there was some smaller fry and some larger fry, so hopefully they're going to get a little colony going of these guys. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. And I'm going to finish off with one other shot of some other fry, which are some OB zebras that I got. Like a lot of my clients I keep fish for, and every now and then they'll breed in those tanks and either catch out the female or just remove the fry and bring them here to raise. So here are the little guys. They're a little over a half inch now and doing quite well. And again, I'll move them into a larger grow tank once they can handle the bigger tank mates. So hopefully next week will go well, and I will bring you a more interesting video. See you then.